When I was a child attending St. Augustine of Canterbury Catholic grade school, every Easter was a particular kind of a thing. You know, we Catholics, uh, really, that's, I guess you'd call it what they would call the high point of the church year, even though Christmas has its enormous um, celebratory aspect. Easter had the additional aspect of victory. You know, Christmas was kind of feel good and sacred and quiet in a sense, whereas Easter was more of an explosion. You know, explosion of flowers or colors. Of course, it's springtime. You know, it's the fertility rite. You know, Easter, Oestre. You know, I mean, it's Astarte. You know, I mean, it's some Babylonian goddess that the whole season is named after. So Jesus' victory at Easter, we have the merger very closely, very meticulously of the, uh, the pagan and what we then call the Christian, as though Christianity is somehow different than the pagan thing. Um, so that's a whole other topic, and I want to get into that topic at some point about the role of Mithraism, Zoroastrianism, and about how these are sort of Jesus is the term for it is palimpsest, which is a term for a document that's been overwritten or overpainted many times. In other words, they had let's say an important document in the Middle Ages, and they didn't have, I don't know if they didn't have a lot of paper or what, but for some reason they would white over that document and then write another document over the top, and then they would write over that document and they would write another document over the top. Christianity has that quality because Catholicism in particular, and the Reformation as an expression post-Catholicism, you know, the Reformation is still Catholicism, but in reaction to Catholicism. You know, and then you've got the Counter-Reformation, which would be the Jesuits. So there's a lot of church history relevant, and all of that somehow or for some reason wants to put its feet firmly on top of Judaism. That's a whole other topic. Okay, a very interesting one, and it actually figures in this conversation. But I mostly want to go over a kind of an Easter message or an Easter statement of some kind, because Easter, I've run into the challenge every year of recognizing, yes, we're in the time of the year when animals are running around, you know, basically having sexual relationships and building nests, and you know, there's eggs out there, and there's all this, you know, the fertility rites, which are just ingrained in a human heart, really, their heart and our bodies. You know, we resonate to that. All you got to do is live in a place like Knoxville, Tennessee for a while and realize that the cold and the damp winter, it was just rainy and cold every single day. A little bit of snow, but mostly rainy and cold when I was there in college. And then when springtime comes, oh my God! I mean, you can just it feels that people explode, you know, and you can just see it. You know, the rabbits and the people and the bunnies and everything is just, yeah, everything's going crazy because of the explode. Finally, it's warm. Finally, and the sun is, you know, and so we have Easter as Sol Invictus and all this kind of thing. So in any case, when I'm at this Catholic school, it's our religion, you know, it's our spirituality, it's our way. And Palm Sunday began the week with this victory of Jesus on a donkey coming into town, and there's this. It almost seems like an irrational celebration because everybody knows he's going to die by the end of the week. So it seems a bit, I don't know if you call it insincere or sort of Pollyanna-ish. So we'll cover that in a second. But then on Holy Thursday, Jesus has discourses. He talks to his apostles. He does these different things. He washes their feet. And then he breaks the bread, and they have the commemoration. And then he's betrayed on Thursday night. On Friday, he's tried. He's beaten, stripped, scourged, humiliated, and then they bury him And then on Friday, like a Good Friday, I remember I'd go play basketball or something like that on Easter Sunday, and it was just dead. Everything, not Easter Sunday, on Good Friday, everything seemed dead. It was just dead. There was no one anywhere, no one doing anything. It was just vacuous, like nothing, like time stopped on Saturday, starting with Good Friday and then Saturday until Sunday morning. That Saturday seemed like a day out of time. Like nothing was going on that Saturday. Um, and then Easter Sunday, we wake up, we go to church, and the church, which was actually a gymnasium because we didn't have a church at the time, it's exploding with lilies and candles and exuberant song. If I remember correctly, it was probably half Latin and half English. I'm not really sure. It shifted into the Second Vatican Council. I'm one of those kids where I had Latin for a couple of years, and then it shifted into English and this thing that I don't know if that's the Novus Ordo or what. I'm not up on the terms, Catholic terms. So that's Easter week. So the Easter message, the thing is, because of those experiences when I was a kid, I feel compelled every year to somehow try and find some meaning and some usefulness in Easter. And it hinges on this Jesus. It hinges on Jesus Christ. Now, somebody can say, I've looked online, there's some things about getting out of a cult or something like that. As I will say now, and I've said before, and I'll say again, the Jesuits say, if you get a kid by the time they're 7, you've got them for life. This is just psychosocial biology. That's the fact. So it's important to get your deep programming into a child by the time they're 7 years old. If you want them to wash their hands before they eat, or if you want them to say yes ma'am, no ma'am, or you want them to just respect the law, or if you want them to even know what the laws are, or if you want them to have certain attitudes, certain opinions, if you want them to be industrious, you want them to go out and start their own business, to be entrepreneurs, it better happen by 7. If it doesn't happen by 7, for the kid, it's an uphill battle. And the flip side of that is whatever happens by 7, they're going to find pretty easy. That could be addictive responses. It could be, being a dullard and watching TV all the time, whatever it is. If they get it by the time they're 7, it's going to be easy for them the rest of their life. And anything else is going to be difficult. So that having been said, what is this meaningful thing? I'm going to say that ironically, Jesus, let's go back to the Zoroastrian Mithraism comment, which I want to explore better in another place. Jesus is the self. And this is just you and I talking. I'm not giving the teachings of any religion. It's called the timeless wisdom or the timeless teaching or something like that. Sanskrit, Sanatana Dharma. But it basically, Jesus represents the self. And the self is, you can call it the soul, or let's just leave it at that because I don't really know the other terms for it that are in English. Let's just call it the soul. So Jesus represents the soul, and the soul goes on a journey in Holy Week. And this is good for everybody. You don't have to be a Christian, you don't have to be anything to recognize that the soul essence within me, there's an essential part of me that goes on and lives apart from social constructs or my thoughts about this or that or my reactions to this or that. There's something grows hair and fingernails. Something excites my heart rate or my flow of adrenaline or dopamine, the hormonal flows in my body. Something does that. It ain't just mechanics. It's not just mechanics. It can be hacked and dealt with mechanically, but it's not mechanics. This is what I'm calling, you can call it the etheric body or an aspect of soul, but in any case, it's stuff that we don't really have direct control over. It's true that you can get a yogic ability to control some of your hormonal flows or how you deal with cold or heat or all this kind of stuff, fear even, or sound. the famous Tibetan experiment where they put a gun right next to this Tibetan guy's head. He shows no ripple in his, that he has no brain spike, this Tibetan meditator, when they fire off a gun like 3 feet from his head. Whereas the most hardened, case-hardened CIA, Secret Service, deep op type people, they all react. And the Tibetan guy, when he said it, is he's got the ability to, it's a yogic technique of getting distance between himself and the noise. So he said, I hear the gun go off. This is the meditator that has no spike in his body mind. He goes, I hear the gun go off, but it's as though it's like 5 miles away. So that's what they do. They have a way they can make things very, very far away in their mind. They can bring them very, very close. And these are yogic techniques you can read about in the Yoga Sutras, making things very, very small, making things very, very large. These are all possibilities of us sort of hacking through discipline and attention. We hack the qualities of soul, the qualities of the etheric body that are in us. So what we have with Jesus during Holy Week is the soul, is the etheric body, is the deep part of ourselves, not the socialized part or anything like that. And he goes through a process. He comes in victorious. Now the victory that he comes in on is, it looks social. In other words, it looks like I come in and I go, let's celebrate, Phil, or Janie, or Sue, or Bobby, or whomever. Let's celebrate because you're human. Let's celebrate because you're alive. Let's celebrate because God loves you. Let's celebrate because you got arms and legs, or let's celebrate because you know what to do with the hours in your day. Whatever thing you want to say about let's celebrate because it's spring. Right? That's the main deal. It's springtime, so you celebrate. So let's celebrate. Well, this is in the Christian context, in the context of the self and the soul that Jesus represents in this story, per me, not per Catholicism, is he comes in and you go, you're celebrating something. It's got a dark edge to it. It's got a dark edge because you know that you're inviting something in. You know you're inviting something in when you say, let's celebrate. What you're inviting in a sense of betrayal. Okay, that happens on Holy Thursday. Judas betrays Jesus, turns him over to the cops, and they haul him off and they arrest him and whatnot. That's on Thursday. But before he does that, he establishes his community. Jesus established. In other words, he puts a placeholder down and says, I know I'm on my way out. So this is the soul. It's an edge. It's a fulminating, I think that's a word, fulminating point between a before and an after. Holy Thursday it's like a fold in this map. I talked about that with the Donald Trump thing I went through, where Trump is like on this fold in this map. And ironically, we'll see when he actually gets fingerprinted by the DA in New York, but it could ironically be Thursday. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't know why things are working out this way exactly. But in any case, so you have this self, and it's going through this, and it reaches a point where it says, this social life that I've lived before, that apparently there's this celebration of how great life is and how I can live it. I'm about to go through an initiation. Why? Because I want ascendancy. Ascendancy means meaning, purpose. It's not survival. Ascendancy is not survival. Ascendancy is meaning and purpose. And once you embrace in yourself, you say, I want this sense of ascendancy, which is, obviously, if you got the Christian thing going in your head, that refers to Easter and then the ascension and whatnot, life everlasting and all the other Christian terminology that comes with it. So you have this sense of this ascendancy that you're buying into. Well, by buying into it, there's the betrayal. This world does not give you what you think it does. They lie. They lie to you. They fleece you. You are here to serve other people's agendas. That's where it's a very dark time this moment when victory fades into the grim reality of what it means to find genuine meaning and purpose in this ascendancy. So you're turned over to the cops on Thursday, the mental cops, the cops that say, hey, you're not playing the game correctly. The game correctly means you become a tool of the state. You do what we want you to do. And if you don't do what we want you to do, then we're going to haul you in. Okay? That's what Jesus experienced at this moment. We're experiencing it. This is my point of going through this, is we're in a model of this right now. So then we have Good Friday. Why Good Friday? Who named this Good Friday? Were they crazy? Jesus gets beaten, stripped, killed, nailed, screwed, blued, and tattooed. The guy gets completely demolished. Okay, watch Mel Gibson's Passion of the Christ if you want to get a good view of demolishment. So that's Friday. And this begs the question, back to the other thing about the other, why are we celebrating? What's the good of commemorating that? It's like, do we really want to commemorate the bullet in John F. Kennedy Sr.'s head? Do we really want to celebrate, when we saw his skull fly off in the Zapruder film? Is that where we want to go with this? Why are we celebrating that? You celebrate his talks, his speeches, his aspirations, his sending out the kids to the Peace Corps, the sense of vitality and optimism that we felt because JFK is a young man and he's sending a new country on a new materialistic mission to make the whole world this wonderful sort of JFK-ish utopia is what we felt in a sense. And it was about to line up with a hippie thing or whatever, but that was, okay, talk about another story. That's where we were going with JFK. So why are we celebrating Jesus bleeding and dying and whatnot? Well, it has to do with Mithraism, I suppose. But in any case, when we get to Easter Sunday and Jesus rises from the dead and no one can find him and he's gone. Okay, well, Jesus' death is, that's an initiatory moment. That's where the person, I'm calling it initiation because it is painful. And I think we're headed into this culturally. It is painful. You go through this thing, and the reason you're willing to go through it is because you really want true empowerment. The self, the soul, wants true empowerment. Nobody else does. No organization, no church, no religion, nobody, no business. I've talked to guys. No, we're not going to teach our people that thing because that will empower them. Empowerment means they'll go start their own business. And I'm going to lose that guy as a worker slave. So we don't want really empowerment. So Jesus, the soul, Jesus Christ, the soul, S-O-U-L, not Saul, S-O-L, which is another word for son, or Sol Invictus, the victorious son deity. But Jesus, as our deepest motivating, animating self, wants empowerment. The soul wants empowerment. The soul is restless for empowerment. And it also knows, and has a difficult time talking to us about it, that we have to go through something that we can call initiation, which is a hard moment of testing that eventually it culminates in the death of what went before. The death of all of our stupid and superficial and immature dreams and ambitions about what we're going to do and where we're going to go and how we're going to achieve this and this and this. Because the soul is much, much, much bigger than our individual storyline. The individual storyline should serve the soul, not the other way around. The soul doesn't serve the individual storyline. When you get the soul to serve the individual storyline, we can call that hacking, biological hacks, mental hacks, mind control technologies. When you're hacking the soul to serve an individual storyline, I think because it's a reversal, we can call that the devil. So on Good Friday, Jesus dying means a willingness to die, a willingness to watch all of those immature, aka demonic, superficial ambitions go to nothing. Go to nothing. They zero out. And the trouble with that is that when it goes to, like on Good Friday, you don't know what's going to happen. Saturday is a big zero. Saturday, nothing's going on. In fact, we have the same 3-day lag between Good Friday and Easter Sunday as we saw with Christmas Day, as opposed to the winter solstice. So you have the winter solstice on December 21st or 2nd, and then you have this dead day, and then, which would be, I guess, the 24th or the 23rd. In any case, when the sun starts to return, this is written in other places, and I'm not going to give anybody credit for it. Let's just say it's out there. You have the dead days, and then you have the birth of Jesus. Well, in this case, you have the dead days, which is, basically, I'm going to say from his arrest, you have Friday, Saturday, those are real dead days. And then you have, voila, Sunday, Easter Sunday. And then you go to find him and he's not there. Ironically, at Christmas, you go to find him and he is there. So this is about the soul. And what did you not find in the tomb? You're looking for the fact that you're dead and that this life makes no sense and that you've been manipulated in all your dreams and ambitions, and now you're just an old cynical curmudgeon. You're just a crank, or you're some kid and you say, there's no future for me. They have nuked me out of these things. I've been marginalized. I've been, kept on the outs, and the whole system is rigged against me. All this kind of stuff. This is a death to all that social way of looking at purpose and meaning, and saying, no, the soul has this purpose and meaning, and it rises. And if you look for it in this dead place, you're not going to find it. So I would say that's what the story is there. So that would be the Easter message. So where do we go with this? I think that we're going to experience it as people. We're in Holy Week, and this is a model for things to come. I'm going to say that this is a model for what's coming down the pike to us. This whole business that's been going on from 2016 is a displacement of some kind. And I don't know exactly what the displacement will be. It seems very, very clear to me that there are two sides. One side is not really willing to talk about God or prayer or those kinds of things. And the other side is constantly willing to talk about God and prayer. So you can call that a dividing line, or you can call that just a superficial aspect of the vocabularies that these two teams have chosen. Believe whatever they say. What they say, half of what you see and none of what you hear. But all of that, let's let it go. Okay, just let the whole thing go. Let it go. You let it go, because in the end, your meaning and purpose is the thing that runs. At the moment, it's running my mouth. It's creating a certain sort of a momentum for me to even talk or try to put thoughts together. It's trying to find a way to couch the message. That's a soul sense. That's this thing inside, that this story, this Good Friday, this Palm Sunday victory, that's what this is about. That's what it's celebrating. So I'll let it go at that and say, may your God and your Son of God, your God, the God, there's really only one God, with the capital G. There, I suppose, in arguably many gods. But when I say your God, I mean May you find that wellspring of soul goodness. It's unequivocal. You know it when you feel it. It's the spring day. It's the spring shower. It's the plants growing out of the ground. There's an undeniable good in this of life. It's undeniable. May you find that undeniable goodness of life as the expression of a God that you feel a part of. And ideally, you have a hero. And that hero walks this way before you. You have a hero that walks this path to true meaning, true purpose, true ascendancy. This hero walks it in front of you. And may you and I and everybody that we know and love experience this ascendancy very, very soon. Thanks.